Welcome back to Monday Night Live.
An entrepreneur that has been disrupting the lead generation industry.
Introducing your host, Nathaniel Bibby.
Marketer of the year. Named Nathaniel Bibby.
Welcome to Monday Night Live. If you're new here, I'm Nathaniel Bibby. Over 500 million in sales for our clients using LinkedIn strategies alone. Monday Night Live is your weekly dose of LinkedIn strategies, marketing tips, and business advice to get you to the next level. Monday night at 6 p.m. Perth time. So drop in the comments and say what's up.
Monday Night Live.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. Do drop in the comments and say what's up. I think we've got a bit of a turnout tonight, legends. Tonight's a big one. It's a big one, a proper deep dive. So strap yourself in, turn your phone on silent, pay attention, close all your other browsers, because here's exactly what we're covering tonight. So you know it's worth sticking around to the end. We're unpacking the ultimate strategy for LinkedIn for 2026. Woohoo! It's not the hype, it's not the trends, it's not the AI will replace everything nonsense. I'm talking about the real playbook for business owners who want actual results, not more noise. This is exactly what we're doing in Bibby Media Group for our clients. It's pretty hot in Perth, Australia today, so I have got a little fan on here. I hope it's not impacting the audio here. Let's start. Let's go. Drop in the comments, guys. What's up, Storm? What's up, Gloria? What's up, Mohammed? Dean Osborne's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, you're going to discover why social media isn't social anymore. Social media isn't social anymore. And what smart people are doing about it. The 3 psychological triggers that decide whether people trust you or scroll past you. I've got some value bombs for you tonight, guys. The new LinkedIn algorithm shift that most creators haven't even noticed yet. How to build an audience that actually cares, not just one that tolerates your content. And we're going to go through the exact find, nurture, connect, engage strategy that's driving insane return on investment for our clients right now. What's up, Hazel? Welcome. Good to see you all here. Hey, midway through the show, I've got a couple of things for you. I've got a brand new LinkedIn content planner so you can plan your content for next year. And also a special offer from Condo. You may have heard me talk about Condo before. Seriously, the best EM tool on LinkedIn at the moment. And I've got a link that gives you 2 months free. So shout out Mitchell from Condo for contributing that. In between all that, I'm going to share a few personal stories that I've never talked about publicly. Some, behind the scenes moments, the real stuff, the stuff that proves we're all human. And then no one has it all perfectly together, so let's get into it. William, what's up? Jeff Gordon's in the house. We've got Melbourne. Man, thanks for staying up for Monday Night Live. Hey, Ned, how you doing? Good to see so many familiar faces here. Social media today is like a nightclub at 3 a.m. It's loud, it's crowded, it's desperate, and full of people pretending they're having the night of their lives while quietly wondering why they're still there. It used to be social. Used to be about connection. Used to be about actually talking to people. Now it's a dopamine casino. It's built by machine learning engineers and it's about to be built by AI. You scroll, you tap, you refresh, you chase a little hit of validation, hoping tonight's the night you go viral. It's interesting. I'm just turning this fan down a bit. It's interesting, but for a social media guy, quite often my recommendation is not spend all your time on social media. Like you need to systemize it because if you spend all your time in the newsfeed, you're not going to do any business. You don't need to have so many followers and get so much engagement to run a successful business. All you need is customers. And sometimes the quickest way to you to build a real human relationship is to actually go and speak to some people IRL. Which for those of you playing at home stands for in real life. Now, here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The algorithm's not stupid anymore. You can't fake it. You can't trick it. You can't hack your way to millions. Those days, my friends, are gone, at least on LinkedIn. Every single year, the same people ask me, they go, Nat, what's the shortcut? What's the hack? What's the trick? And the thing is, unless you align your objective with the platform, when the platform gets smarter, your tricks aren't going to work anymore. Eventually, like the perfect algorithm will actually give people what it wants, because ideally they just want to keep people on the platform longer, right? That's how the business works. So every single year, these are the people that are always stuck in the same spot at the end of the year, because without strategy, you're not clever, you're lost. The guys that I used to train on LinkedIn, right? Like I trained these guys on LinkedIn. This happened a lot, like 5-6 years ago. And then they go out and they start LinkedIn lead generation agencies, and they do really well. But then every 6 months or so, when there's an algorithm update or LinkedIn restrict the number of connection requests you can send, I'd get like 50 messages from all these guys saying, oh, Nat, we can't send out 1,000 messages anymore. What are we going to do? Look, if you can't make it work with sending out 50 messages a week, you're doing something wrong, okay? You want to make sure that you're actually delivering your customers value, and then the algorithm updates won't bother you that much. Without direction, you're not building, you're surviving. It's not fun and exciting and sexy, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it's true. And if you're here tonight, I have to say this, if you're here tonight, you're here because you know it's time to step up and think differently, to act with intention and stop doing what everyone else is doing and finally do what works. 90% of businesses are gone in 7 or 8 years. They say 10 years, it's 7 or 8 years. 90% of businesses are gone. So if you do what everyone else is doing, you're screwed. You've got to do what the majority aren't doing in order to succeed. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Monday Night Live. If you're new here, my name is Nathaniel Bibby, founder of Bibby Media Group. We've helped generate over $500 million in sales through LinkedIn strategies. It's almost like it is $750 million now. Isn't that wild? $750 million from LinkedIn alone. That's without spending a dollar on ads for our clients. I've trained more than 40,000 professionals. I remember setting up the first LinkedIn training course outside of the US in Australia 12 years ago for the Australia Digital Marketing Institute. And I used to fly around to every city delivering LinkedIn training. And that's when I really started to sharpen my craft, because when you've got a room full of business people waiting to learn, you've really got to know what you're talking about. I knew more than most when I started, but it wasn't until I started like delivering training that I really started to sharpen my skills. And because I run a LinkedIn agency, I've just run campaigns in every single industry, and I've always got like 10 or 20 campaigns, between 10 and 20 campaigns running across different verticals. So I kind of know what's working, because if you've got a LinkedIn trainer that's not actually running campaigns in different verticals, they don't have the finger on the pulse. Because if you did my training a year ago, about 30%, at least 30% of what you're doing is wrong. Well, it's not wrong, but it's out of date, okay? Because that's how quick it's changing. Quick thing I want to say about the comments, guys. I want you guys to drop in the comments. And I always say, drop in the comments, say hello. So if you haven't introduced yourself, jump in there. Because every time I go live, I always tell people to drop something in the chat. And I know you, like at the start, you know, it feels a little bit quiet. You're not sure whether to jump in, but it's like walking into a networking event, right? I want to encourage it, because comments are where the real action happens. When you comment on somebody's post or on a live, LinkedIn doesn't just show me you're here, it shows your whole network, you're part of this conversation, shows my network, you're part of the conversation, shows other people attending the live. Like a lot of business is done in the comments of when you go live. Like if I ever attend somebody else's live, you see how active I am in the comments. I'm driving so much visibility in the comments, and you get visibility you didn't ask for, reach you didn't pay for. People discover you who you wouldn't have seen otherwise. And like Monday Night Live is a good crowd, because they're all doing the same thing. They're all on the same journey. Legends participate. So if you want to get more out of LinkedIn, the easiest way is just to be active in the comments. That's where relationship starts. That's how authority builds. All right. That's enough about that. All right. Good to see you here, Darius, my friend. Hey, Gloria, what's up? Yep, Gloria, I've said hello to you already, haven't I? Neha, I hope I pronounced that right. So good to see you here. Yes, another Melbourneite. And Steve Brossman's here, ladies and gentlemen. Ready to rock, you betcha. I've been looking forward to this all weekend. Now, drop questions as we go. Like, I'm going to make this a full-on masterclass, guys. You know, when you jump in, like, you know, ask what you're probably thinking, Oh, what cameras are you? Is that real? What is that a real wall? That's what a lot of people ask me, right? And the answer is no. It's vinyl. It's not a castle. It's not exposed heritage brick in some converted warehouse. It's vinyl stuck to a pretty average wall. But people obsess over this stuff, right? I'm guilty of doing this as well. Like obsess over lighting, background, cameras. None of it actually really matters. No one's ever signed a 20 grand deal because of my wallpaper, right? I spend way more time on it than I should. And do you know what? If I knew I was going to spend this much time on my setup, I probably would have stuck to a telephone. So if you're sitting there worrying about whether your background is worthy or not, just forget about it. Say something worth listening to and the background becomes irrelevant. Your story will build connection. Your strategy is going to build the income. Your authenticity is what builds trust. And ultimately, that's everything I'm talking about tonight, guys, is to do with trust. Building trust. That's how you make relationships. That's how you build relationships. That's how you make sales. Let's talk about something that actually matters, though, for 2026. That's why we're all here. We want to know the LinkedIn strategy for 2026. Come on, Nat, Bibby. LinkedIn made a huge algorithm shift this year. They called it conversational relevance. Have you heard of this? Basically, it doesn't care how many followers you have. It doesn't care how many likes you get, like in the first 5 minutes. You know how you've got to get quick engagement fast? Doesn't care if you post every day or once a month. What does it care about then? Well, it cares about resonance. Do people stay on your post? Do they comment thoughtfully? Do they talk to each other in the thread? Do you reply? Or do you drop your content and disappear like a social media hit and run? And who's actually commenting? Like, is it people in your target market, right? These guys that are running engagement pods that are all like, you drop this link in the chat and you comment on my stuff, I comment on your stuff. They're not going to get anywhere. I mean, I don't think they've been getting anywhere anyway. They look important. You might be able to fool somebody for a while because you've got like lots of likes and comments, but you've got engagement from people in all different sorts of industries. It's a bit like those guys. Have you ever been to like a seminar and someone's like, I'm a best-selling author? But the reality is, like, they've sold 2 copies to their mum and maybe 1 to their wife. Like, they put it in such a narrow category on Amazon that for that day, their wife and the mum and their purchase, those 3 purchases were enough to be the best-selling author in that category. So they're basically like manipulating the audience, telling them that this book is a bestseller, it's really good, and then they come to see them speak and they run to the back and buy the book. Very misleading. It's very much the same as buying followers. It's the same as doing engagement pods. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit, guys. I'm glad to see some of the comments coming through. I'm going to address your questions very shortly. LinkedIn's data is clear, though. Posts that start conversations outperform posts that just get likes by up to 700% in reach and conversions. Comments is what's most important, not likes, not shares, not reposts, comments. Because this is the way that LinkedIn have driven their platform, because it's all about conversations. Conversations is what builds relationships, because engagement can be cheap. Conversation is commitment. The whole platform is shifting from broadcasting to dialogue, from reach to relationship, from volume to value, because we're about to get swamped by like a sea of AI content, right? The algorithm is also AI. People forget that. The algorithm's AI is going to be smarter than whatever you can get your hands on. So they're not looking for AI content. They're looking for real human content that's actually starting conversations, okay? So it's not a platform you can game anymore. Hey, like, I've got an idea. Let's see who can create the most content the quickest on ChatGPT. That's a race to the bottom. If you're thinking about, I can create 100 posts, I could do like all this, 3 posts a day and I'll be so successful. No, you won't. That's what 65% of people are doing already. It'll be like 80% by this time next year, at least. Right? It's a race to the bottom. We spend a whole life trying to write perfect grammar. When it comes to content marketing, it's about writing how you speak. It's about conversational grammar. We should be studying this at school. A couple of years ago, I'm going to get to your questions very, very shortly. Before we move on, we have to give the guest of honor, Michelle Bibby, a welcome. My mother, good on you for being here. My #1 fan. A couple of years ago, I was running a workshop for a room of CEOs, Like they're wearing suits, CEO Institute, right? Half of them look like they were born inside a boardroom. One guy puts up his hand and says, Nathaniel, what's the best time to post on LinkedIn? And everyone around the room's nodding, right? Like this was the question that would unlock the universe. And I looked at him and I said, the best time to post is when you actually have something worth saying. And half the room laughed. The other half, they stared at me like I just slapped them in the face or slapped their content calendar and threw it on the ground. The real issue is people are optimizing everything except the part that matters, right? Their message. They're like, okay, I'll post on this time. I'll get the dimensions this right. I'll make the first line this many words. It'll be this many characters. I'll end with this. I'll structure it like this. Meanwhile, the message doesn't have anything worth saying. I tell you what, you get all that stuff wrong and you've got a valuable message, you will do well. In fact, you'll do really well if you do it consistently because people will say, oh, you know what? This guy's got his own style. It's so unique. That means it's really authentic. You can spend hours in Canva. It's such a procrastination tool. Like I see a lot of solopreneurs, small business owners, even guys with teams, literally spending 2 or 3 hours in Canva designing graphics or fiddling with like hashtags, making like editing their own videos, hours reading best practices. Do you know what takes real courage? Just saying something real. I did this video in Melbourne. What was it? A couple months ago now, where I actually just turned the camera on and started speaking. And I was like, do you guys like all these edits that I'm doing? Or do you want me just to talk like this? And anyone who answered said they'd prefer the authentic, real stuff. They want something honest. That's what people want. Something that reveals who you are, what you stand for. That's how you build trust, right? That's how you attract clients. If you write your LinkedIn profile like every other accountant or real estate agent, and you have all the same buzzwords in there, and you don't show any of your individual vulnerability, people will not trust you when they read that because every website sounds the same, right? Doesn't matter. You could have exceptional attention to customer service. That could be totally true. But if you just say that, no one's going to believe you because every single business says that, right? What you've got to do is tell a story or show something about your personality. That's how you build a personal brand. You think about any personal brand that pops into your head when you think about personal branding. I don't care if it's the Kardashians, Eminem, Obama. Like the reason that they have a personal brand is because they've shown who they are. They're not afraid to show, they're unique. Let's talk about psychology for a minute. Why do most people avoid strategy? Why do most people avoid strategy? Drop in the chat and let me know. Because strategy requires clarity. You need clarity to create strategy. Clarity requires decisions. Decisions require courage, right? Because if you lean this way, you might upset some people this way, right? You can't fit in and stand out at the same time. Most people don't want clarity. They want options. They want to keep their options open. They don't want to be like, oh, yeah, this and this. Oh, yes, I agree with that. They want endless possibilities so they never have to commit. They don't want to be polarizing. So we're wired to avoid loss to seek gain. This is psychology, right? So people stay vague, they stay comfortable, stay safe. What if you took your most polarizing, your most the belief that you have, the thing that you don't agree with the rest of the industry in, you took that thing and you actually amplified it and you did that in a post. That's like, exaggerating who you are. Hey, let's stop for a second and answer some of these questions, guys. Okay, what are some LinkedIn trends you see forecasting for 2000? Well, we're about to find out. That's what we're going to be covering tonight for sure, ladies and gentlemen. So stick around, make sure you don't go anywhere. We are actually not going to be recording these very soon. We are not going to be doing replays very soon, so it means you're going to have to be here Monday night. This one will be available at least for the next couple of days as a replay. But yeah, look, if you're being vague, you're not saying exactly who you help. You've got to speak directly to your people. It's not about like being yes to everyone. It's about, who you say no to. You got to say what you do, what you stand for. Because the moment you stand for something, you risk not standing for everything. But business isn't built on, neutrality. Authority comes from being clear. Trust comes from consistency. Momentum comes from commitment, right? It's Tony Robbins. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. Most of you will know this if you heard me speak before, but he says, in the moments of decision, your destiny is shaped. So what does that mean? If you're waiting for the perfect strategy, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Do you know it's actually better to make a bad decision than it is to make no decision? Making no decision is a decision, right? But at least if you make a bad decision, you'll get feedback quicker and you'll know and you'll readjust. Okay. What else have we got here? Let's have a look at this comment from Paula. A Monday Night Live regular for many years. His dating profile was nothing like all the copy-paste generic stuff all the other guys had. Raw authenticity is where it's at. Guys, if you are on Tinder or any of those other apps, pay attention because you're getting some hot advice here, guys. Hey, Tomas, my friend in Jerusalem had 100 days of video whenever he was walking to... That's awesome. That's awesome. I encourage that stuff. I really do. It's not easy. I know it's not easy. Hey, this is why I'm going live every week. It's commitment, right? Show up Monday night. I love this optimization kick. Killer. Steve, we're about to be hit by the AI tsunami. We are on the beach watching it come in. This is going to be absolutely crazy. The amount of content is going to increase by like 700 times or something, which is going to be a sea of rubbish, but there's going to be less human stuff. My challenge has always been as a content creator is to stand out. So if you look at it from that lens, it's actually got a lot easier because all you have to do is not use AI, excuse me, or use it in a way where it doesn't remove your human voice. I might have been getting a bit too excited. There we go. A lot of you messaged me after these sessions asking for help planning your LinkedIn content properly. Excuse me. And so what I've created is a LinkedIn content planner. It's something that's on my website. Let me get the link for you. I just want to make you guys aware of it. It is a product, but it's on a massive discount at the moment. Go to this link, bibbymediagroup.com/shop. The LinkedIn content planner, it'll help you develop your content pillars, your topics, plan your content for the year. It's got content calendar in it. You need a proper structure, right, for your content, not just random ideas, like not post and pray. You need an actual plan. So you grab that if you want it. It'll save you hours. While we're talking about products, let's talk about Condo, because it's like if you're using LinkedIn to generate leads and then you're going to be sending a lot of DMs. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you forget to reply to somebody's DM or you forget to follow up who you've already messaged? And sometimes the inbox is just a little bit overwhelming. Condo solves all of that. It's a way that LinkedIn's inbox should have been built, right? So it's hands down the best tool I've found for managing your DMs without it becoming your full-time job. I actually heard about it through LinkedIn's #1 creator, Yasmin Alex. Shout out, Yasmin. They've given me a link that gets you 2 months free. So here it is, bibby.consulting/condo, 2 months free. It's just free. So you get to check it out. If you don't want to use it, you've got it free for 2 months. The link is bibby.consulting/condo with a K. All right, guys, let's get back into it. All right, let's get into the guts of tonight, the DNA, the thing that separates the amateurs from the operators. Here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your strategy. So if you're winging it, guessing, hoping, posting random thoughts when you wake up in the morning thinking LinkedIn is going to bless you, you're not building a business. It's more important now more than ever. Why? Because competition is increasing. Like, I'm not saying the AI content sucks. It's good. It's very, very good. But everyone's using it, right? So if you want to stand out, you've got to at least inject your personal brand. You've got to define it. I think every company and every individual needs a policy of what they will use AI for and what they won't use it for so they can stay consistent. Like if I ever feed AI content and tell it, let's say I fed it this script, right? The transcript of tonight, and I said, write me an article on LinkedIn. I'd actually say in the prompt, anything that I've said, anything I've said that you want to reword, do not. Okay? Do not reword the way that I've said things. Just tighten it up or whatever, but do not reword the way I've said things, because what it's actually doing is taking what I've said and rewording it, which means it's not writing how I would speak, and you don't want that. Of course, you don't need the ums and ahs and all that stuff, but make sure it's not rearranging the way that you speak. If anything, those are the parts that it shouldn't touch. Right? Authority beats activity and strategy. Strategy beats everything. The amount of people that don't plan their content. And look, listen, I understand. I notice some of you listening, they're like, that's me. I don't plan my content. It's really difficult, first of all, to stay consistent, but it's also very difficult for you to speak directly to your target customer if you're not planning your content. Because what will happen is what you wake up and decide to post in 2 months is not going to be the same as what you wake up and decide to post today. And that's a problem, because the people that are following you now expect and are looking for certain types of messages, but also like they want it to consume it a certain way. Right? So if you're posting video and then next month you're doing art, like whatever it may be, like if you change anything, you always risk losing people, because people they follow you because they want to consume content a certain way. So you've got to stay consistent. People say, oh, well, I've already like posted about this topic 100 times. I can't post another 100 times about it. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to post 1,000 times about it and keep posting. You can reuse the same content. If you look at like all of the best creators, like Stephen Bartlett, Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone, right? I used to have this tool which would organize their most engaging posts from most engaging throughout history to least. And if you look at the top 5 or 6 posts, they're pretty much exactly the same, almost 90% the same, because they're reworking what works. They're not different every post. And they're doing it as often as every couple of months. All right. Let's break down the 2026 LinkedIn strategy framework. This is a system that we're going to be using at Bibby Media Group. We're already implementing it. There's more changes to come. This is the one that is going to be responsible for another $500 million worth of sales. And on that note, guys, next week I'm going I'm going into this $500 million LinkedIn strategy in depth. We've got bibby.consulting/500 is next week's episode. Make sure you register for that one. This strategy, like I created it 10 years ago, find, connect, engage. And now we've added this extra stage. I only just did it this year. And that's nurture. So it goes find, nurture, connect, engage. 4-step strategy. Find, nurture, connect, engage. When I implemented the nurture step, right, we were getting like 34% conversion rate when we send somebody an invitation to connect to them accepting, which like is good compared to what most people are getting. They're getting like 15%, but it's not what I was used to. Like I used to get much higher than that, over 50%. So I was like, we need to do something. So I added this nurture step before we send the connection request. And we went from 33% conversion rate on the clients that we were implementing this on, from 33% to 88%. So what's that? Like almost 3 times. But it's like 9 out of 10 people are accepting just when you put that nurture stage. Like, it might not seem like a big jump, but that's 3 times as many leads at the back end, because the numbers all work the same. Like if you get 3 times as many connections and you're engaging them, get 3 times as many leads. It's simple, but simplicity is deceptive, isn't it? Behind each step is a psychology principle. Like there's always a tactical layer and a behavioral truth. And it matters now more than ever. So I'm just going to break each step down so you completely understand. Find, nurture, connect, engage, okay? And then you walk out of tonight with a roadmap that actually moves the needle, because most people aren't doing this. You see all the messages they're sending you. You see the sales letters. That's why people think LinkedIn doesn't work, because they see what's happening in their inbox. So step 1 is find. You want to attract the right people. Let me say something blunt, right? This might rock a few feathers. Is that a saying? Shake a few feathers, fluff a few I don't know. I love this dude. Yeah, cool. Yes. Personally, Mark Robinson's here, ladies and gentlemen. Personally, I would use AI for the skeleton of some content. Then it's more important to change the grammar. Totally. You got to find your own system, but the point is to inject yourself into the post, right? You don't want more followers. You want the right followers. Anyone that knows what they're talking about online right now on YouTube, doesn't matter what platform, they're saying this. It's not about the number of followers. It's about getting the right people in the room. Because I tell you what, man, I could have 10,000 people at Monday Night Live, but if there's no prospects that are actually capable of becoming a client from, it's worthless. All I need is one or two of these guys in the room. You want the right people, the ones that actually buy, okay? The ones who get what you do. Like those two clients that might be in the room right now, right? Those two prospects that I'm thinking about doing business with me, they allow me to add value to the rest of you, right? Because the numbers make sense. It has to be an ecosystem. Otherwise, you're just working for free. We can't do that. You can't do it consistently, right? We've got to eat. Okay. So you want people to look at your content and go, geez, that's exactly what I needed. So how do you find those people? Well, there's a few things that happen here. So one, hyper-specific audience clarity, right? So business owners is not a target market. Leaders is not a target market. People who want to grow, people who want to retire, that's not a target market. You've got to be specific enough that someone can say, that's me. That's how specific you got to be. So you got to be like, I help professional service firms who have clients but no marketing team. Suddenly that's pretty clear, right? And you might even go down to location as well, in Australia, in US. Right? If you don't have a target market, pick one because your results will be better. Use content that makes people self-identify. So you want to tell stories like only your audience would relate to. So if you help accountants, talk about accountant problems. And you'll think, but that doesn't relate to this client. But if that's your audience, you can speak directly to them and that post will jump out of them. If you help founders, talk about founder psychology, but talk about mistakes, talk about problems, talk about the negatives, because if people knew the solution, they probably would have solved the problem. Now, let me tell you a secret, right? I learned this about 10 years ago, and it's been one of the most valuable things I've ever learned in marketing. If you define somebody's problem as well as or better than they can, they will automatically assume that you have the solution without you even saying what the solution is. You don't have to go into it. Have you ever bought anything and you don't even realize what you bought? It's just that the person you were speaking to just got you. You felt understood. I mean, it happens to me all the time, right? It happens to me all the time. If you can recite somebody's problem, and if you're that specific, you can recite their problem. It amazes me how many people, like this is the biggest mistake, right? People create all this content and they're like, okay, today we're going to talk about the 3 ways that you can, save money on your tax, or the 2, whatever. Like it's just talking about the solution. Now, like if you're going to do that post, you've got to talk first about the problem, right? Like you could say like 80, whatever the statistic is, 83% of people are overpaying on their tax by this much, and this is causing them to go out of business. 90% of businesses are gone in 8 years. If you're staying up at night stressed about your tax debt, then listen up. Tells people why to pay attention, right? I just made that up on the fly. Like you could do a much better job with your AI friends, right? Your content should feel like a mirror, not a megaphone, a mirror, right? A mirror. So it's reflecting back how people feel. Tell the truth others avoid. There's so many things that people avoid talking about because they don't want to be polarizing. And that's what cuts through, always. When I interviewed Grant Cardone in Sydney, and I asked him off camera, I told him where I was at. And I said, what am I doing? What do I do to get to the next level? And he said, you need more haters, man. I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, dude, you need to interview people you disagree with. You're too safe, right? He's like, why do you think I interviewed Jordan Belfort? Because I disagree with him. That's the kind of content that's polarizing. That's why I say things that might upset people. And he flashes that private jet and stuff, but when you meet him off camera, he's not that cocky at all. He does that because he knows that that's the way that you get the people in when they're young. That's what young people think entrepreneurship is about. Then when you get them in, you can teach them something. So that's why he does it. I'm not saying that's right for my brand, but that's the reason behind it. And that guy's built millions and millions of followers by being polarizing. So you need to lean into that a little bit more to the point where it's a little bit uncomfortable. Okay. The moment that you say the thing that everyone else is afraid to say, you stand out, right? You become the lighthouse. You're the signal in the noise. But the key here is don't try to go viral. Try to add more value than anyone else. Virality comes and goes, man. Value compounds. And it lasts. Every algorithm update, AI, it doesn't matter. If you learn how to add more value than anyone else, you will win. Who else we got in the comments, guys? Keep it coming. Keep them coming. Ruffle feathers. See, I'm learning things. Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate you. Don't forget to be networking in the comments, guys. Make sure you guys connect with each other. Before we move on to the next point, nurture, let me say this, because I know what's going through your mind right now. Some of you are thinking, Nat, this is great, but I don't know if people actually care about what I do. Anybody thinking that? They do, more than you realize. Some of you are thinking, but my life isn't that interesting. You know, I don't have that much experience. I don't have big stories. Neither do most people. But you know what you do have? A brain wired for connection, and you're brave enough to share your stories. It's not your story that matters. It's the emotion the story triggers in someone else. If you're telling a story about buying a new phone, right? And you are so excited about that story, like you have to get really excited. Like, I've got this new phone, it can take photographs and text people. It's amazing what this device can do. You're transferring your state to your audience. So whatever it is you do, get excited. How can you expect anyone else to be excited about it if you're not excited about it? Do what you have to do. If you don't believe in your product, get a new one. If you don't believe in your service, like, you know, you have to believe. But once you believe, don't let the fear of what other people might think hold you back from like showing your emotion and showing that excitement. If you have to listen to some music and get pumped up before you write your post, do that. Share honestly. You'll never run out of content if you share honestly. You'll never run out of content because you know different ways to say things, right? Stay guarded and you'll never build an audience. Everyone's so worried about doing the wrong thing. Like, I get it, right? If you're in the finance industry and you don't want to lose it, like I understand it's difficult, right? But if you're running your own business, most of us are running our own business so we can do and say what we want. So take advantage of that, especially if your business is not doing that well. Who cares? If the content's not good, no one's going to see it, right? You haven't got anything to lose. When I've had nothing to lose is when I've done my best work. Like when I've been desperate, when I've done my best work, when I've got nothing to lose, when my back's against the wall. And you know what? I've just looked at the results and I've figured out that that actually moves the needle. And if I'm pissing a bunch of people off, or if I'm annoying a bunch of people in my DMs, if I see a lot of negative feedback, I actually know that that's a good sign. Most people don't. Most people see that and go, oh no, what have we done? We've upset someone. It's a good sign. Especially if they're not in your target audience. Hey, guys, don't take advice from people that haven't achieved what you want to achieve, or don't get feedback from people who aren't in your target audience. Who cares what your next door neighbor thinks of your content? They're not in your target market. The only people that should be helping you with your content strategy is your audience. Don't ask anyone else. It doesn't matter. Unless they've achieved what you want to achieve, right? Everyone wants leads. You got to nurture, nurture, nurture. Everyone wants leads, everyone wants clients, everyone wants sales, but nobody wants to nurture. And that's how you actually build a relationship. Nurturing is like brushing your teeth, right? If I had to explain it for my daughter, I'd say it's brushing your teeth. Because if you only do it once a month, you can't complain when it doesn't work. Nurturing has to be a habit. So what does that look like? Well, reply to every comment. It drives me crazy when I hop on a call with somebody and I look at their content and they may only have like 3 comments on their last post, but they haven't replied to them. Dude, that's the most important thing that you could be doing on LinkedIn, is replying to every comment. I don't care if you've got 10 followers or 10,000, reply. Those people have taken the time to read and consume your content and drop a comment. And you haven't even bothered replying? Like, do you actually care, or do you just is it all about you? It's got to be about the audience. I'm going to be going back tonight and responding to all of these comments, and I'm going to do it tomorrow for the replay as well. and all my DMs. Every single one. So if you're watching the replay, make sure you do drop it in the comments and say hello. Because I want to have conversations with you guys. I don't want to just talk at you. I'm hoping this is delivering value, but I'm going to find out very soon in the comments. And if there's areas that I should be focusing on or areas I should improve, please let me know. Give me the timestamp, because we want to improve. We want feedback. That's how you get better. That's how you optimize your content. 2, personalize your messages. So stop sending paragraphs that read like robots wrote them. Use people's name, reference their post, ask a real question. People don't want to read big blocks of text. They're all using it on the mobile device. Like, there's statistics that says 85% of people on LinkedIn are on a mobile. It's way higher than that when you talk about people who are consuming content, and people that are in the DMs, because they're 15% that are on a PC. They're actually the people that are creating content, running ads. Most of the time, people are consuming content or in the DMs on their phone. So they don't want to see big blocks of text. That's what people are talking about when they say mobile optimized. It means break up the text, because what happens is if you're scrolling through text and you lose your spot, you're gone. You're on to the next message, okay? So imagine you're having lunch with a friend or going for a beer with a mate. You're not planning what time you'll speak. You're thinking about what matters. Do the same on LinkedIn. You know, the most confident way to DM somebody is to keep it short. Like if like the President Obama or somebody who's really important, what's a better example? Richard Branson. Now, if Richard Branson was going to message somebody and arrange a call, he'd probably just say, "Have you got 5 to chat?" There wouldn't be all this, "Oh, I'm Richard Branson, I'm from Virgin." Like, that's the most confident way to do it, right? And he is confident because he knows people are going to reply to him. So you don't need to tell people who you are or what you do. Like, when we started doing LinkedIn lead generation at Bibi Media Group, we disrupted the telemarketing industry. Because if you search for lead generation on Google, you just find telemarketing companies, right? What do you have to do if you're cold calling? For those of you that have been long enough to have done cold calling, what are the 2 things you have to do when you get somebody on the line? You have to say who you are and why you're calling. Those are the 2 things you have to do when you're cold calling somebody, right? When you approach someone on LinkedIn, you don't have to do either of those things. Why? Because they can click on your name and read your profile. It might seem like a very, very subtle thing, but because they clicked, they asked for the information. Hey, that means they're actually going to consume it and read it and pay attention. So don't tell people what you do in your message, because you're actually pushing information on them in that way. Create some curiosity, let them click. Then you can keep the message short. You can send your connection request like, hey, I noticed your post. How's business going? Start the conversation. Why not? If you send that connection request to a CEO, or anyone for that matter, you imagine they're getting like 100 connection requests over a week, right? And they're all like, "Hi, I'm this one, blah, 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 all about me," or, we've got mutual connections and I want to grow my network. And then there's you, it's like, "Hey, I saw your post. That was awesome. How's business?" You stand out, right? You seem like a real person. So also share micro expertise. So not big revelations, not giant frameworks, little insights that help people today that they can take action on, right? So here's a quick tip that will help you with your tax. Quick ideas that change behavior immediately. People trust the person who helps them the most frequently. Like I went on holiday in Queenstown. I'll never forget this. And I wanted to get a pizza, right? I wanted a pizza. I felt like a pizza. Anybody who likes pizza knows what I'm talking about. So I go down to the main strip in Queenstown and I'm like, where am I going to go to get a pizza, right? There's all these Italian restaurants everywhere. And there's this one restaurant and there's a guy out the front with a tray and he's got little toothpicks and samples of pizza, right? And so I go up and I try one of the samples and I'm like, wow, that is incredible. If that's what the free stuff like, I can't imagine how good the pizzas must be in here. I'm going to go in here. That's what you need to be doing with your content. Give people a little taste, because if the content that you deliver, they get value out of it, they're going to wonder what could the paid stuff be like if the free stuff is that good, right? People trust the person who helps them the most frequency, not frequently, not the person who shouts the loudest. Comments is like a mini post. Hong Lee has said, that is spot on. I love it. What's your take on voice message DMs? Keep them short. Keep them short. Be respectful of people's time. Look, being respectful of people's time is very important. And also being respectful of your own time as well, right? You don't want to waste people's time. That's why I don't want to like a long message. If you want to have a meeting with somebody, get straight to the point. You don't have to do you need these 2-step, 3-step drip campaigns. Like the other LinkedIn marketing agencies that I guess you would call our competitors, that's what they do. They literally do 4-message automated drip campaigns before they ask for what they want. It's so disrespectful of people's time. But the voice messages are cool because they show what I always do with voice messages is like there has to be somebody that already would read what you send them. Does that make sense? So I'm not sending voice messages to people I don't know, because why would I assume that they would care? Like, you know, they don't know, if they don't know me, like me, or trust me, why would they listen to a voicemail? Like, you know, so if I send them a message, they might start reading and then they continue reading. But if I've already spoken to them and we've already got a relationship, the voicemails are great, right? They're great because it's actually speaking to somebody, but you got to keep them short. Like there are a few people out there who will just, you know, start the voicemail because they're being lazy and it just ends up like being an and an And I've done these before, but I just delete them afterwards because you don't want to waste people's time. No one wants to listen to you just thinking aloud. I'll tell you a quick story. There was a time in my business where I was a bit distracted. My daughter had just been born. I was busy delivering work for clients and I stopped nurturing my audience. Like I was posting, but not consistently. I was still active. I was doing the social media. I wasn't really being consistent, and I definitely wasn't doing Monday Night Live. I stopped Monday Night Live, right? But the nurturing stopped, and when I wasn't replying, wasn't engaging, I wasn't listening, was I? Do you know what happened? Nothing dramatic, no disaster, just something subtle, right? Quiet, slippery, momentum disappearing, engagement slowed, inbound leads dropped, opportunities faded, like conversion rates got worse, right? This is when you really start to see the value of content, when you stop doing it. So it's not because my content was like worse. I was reposting old stuff, but my presence was worse. Like I was not actually having conversations with people. And that was a moment that I realized, and I've been preaching this to my audience for years, but now I've got a taste of my own medicine, you know, is if you disconnect from your audience, they disconnect from your value. It doesn't take long. They disconnect from your value. I'll never make that mistake again. It's huge, guys. It's huge. And it takes a while to rebuild. Like, I know what I'm doing. I've done this a few times now. Rebuild on social media, personal branding. I've been doing marketing for 20 years. Still took me a few months to get momentum. You see my Monday Night Live newsletter on LinkedIn. If you check out my Monday Night Live newsletter and go back to like the first post, it's talking about exactly this. It's like, oh my God, I'm launching Monday Night Live again. Let's go. And then the next post is like, oh, I launched Monday Night Live. And instead of thousands of people, there was like 20 people there. Wake up call, right? And after 3 months, I was like, you know what? It's still like only 50, 60 people coming, but you know what? I'm going to keep going because I know what I'm doing. Consistency is what matters right here. Anyway, step 3, connect. Turn visibility into relationship. Connect. This is where the magic happens. This is where the magic happens. Connection is the bridge between your content and your business. You need the bridge, otherwise there's no return on investment. Content alone will not generate sales. Or maybe it will for some people, but not for businesses like mine. Not in B2B, right? If you're selling t-shirts, maybe, but then LinkedIn's not your platform, right? Most people connect like absolute rookies. I have to say it. They pitch way too early. They ask for calls way too soon, and they drop value that people haven't asked for. So like you can't assume that somebody has a need or a problem that you solve until they've told you that. You need to go in with curiosity, not an agenda. And don't send an 18-paragraph essay, for goodness sake. Light touch, light touch. If you've heard on in the marketing world, they've got this thing now called sell by chat. Sell by chat. Because we're in the past, like LinkedIn messages were almost like an email, like you would say, hi so-and-so, regards so-and-so, right? Now it's definitely a chat. So if you sell by chat, it's actually luring people in. Look, most of us don't have time to be chatting on LinkedIn all the time, but you do want to lead with curiosity. You can't start selling to somebody until you have two things. These are my rules. One, they've told you that they have the problem that you solve. And two, they've given you permission to share your solution. Without those two things, no selling. You can't start telling people about something they haven't asked for. So how do you get them to tell you if they've got the problem you solve? Very simple. Ask questions. You should be 90% of the time should be asking questions. If you're going to hop on a call with somebody, right, say, oh, great, thanks for making the time to be on the call today. The purpose of the call is to find out a bit more about your business to see if there's an opportunity for us to add some value. Is it okay if I ask you some questions? I'm actually going to take some notes while I go, if that's okay with you. You're leading the conversation, you're framing the call, and then you say, so tell me, how did you get into this business anyway? Ask them an open-ended question like that. If you ask open-ended questions at the start, they will tell you so much information that'll be valuable. Once you hear that they've got the problem that you solve, they tell you that they've got this problem, then you go, oh, that's interesting. We worked with such and such company who had the same problem and we managed to help solve it. Would you like to hear about how we could do the same for you and help you solve the problem or not? It's fine if they don't. You actually want to find out who's not the right client quickly so you can move on to the people that are. There's so many people out there. LinkedIn's got over 1 billion people on it. You don't need to convince people to be your customers. There's enough people that have a big enough problem that will hire you. So you've got to ask questions like, how are you currently getting results? What's working for you right now? What's the biggest roadblock you're running into? I'm going to ask you a question right now to drop in the chat. Okay. What's the most valuable thing you've learned so far? What's really jumped out at you so far from this content from Monday Night Live? What's the thing that's jumped out? What's top of mind for you right now? Like, what has been, from all the things we've been through so far, what has really jumped off the page to you? If you've written any notes, what have you written down? Let me know, because I will create more content about that, right? Ning Choi, welcome. Bro's done with the rambling connection request. Would love to see your inbox, Nathaniel Bibi. Oh, dude. Hey, you know what? Your inbox is a reflection of your network. So if you're connected with a bunch of salespeople, that's what you get, hey? Hey, Karen Hennessy, welcome. We've got some questions here. Let's have a look here. Do you recommend post twice a week or consistently every day? Every day. Look, the minimum is twice a week. A minimum is twice a week to stay in the feed. This is from an algorithm's perspective. When I say twice a week, it's from the algorithm's perspective. But if you want to nail LinkedIn, you got to post every day. Why? Because you're going to get better faster, right? The more you post, the more that's how you learn. You're getting feedback quicker because everything's changing so quick. The audience is changing so fast. The algorithm's changing so fast. You need to get feedback quicker, right? So if if you want to try 10 different types of content to find out which one does well, you could either take 5 weeks to do it, or you can do it in 2 weeks if you post 5 days a week. So I suggest posting every day. You'll get better quicker, but you want to plan your content. So this is one way that you could do it. This is an idea for you guys, right? You could plan in advance 12 posts for the month. So you've got 3 going every week and they're already done. You've already written them. You've already planned them. You know exactly what's going up. And then you leave 2 days where you can freestyle, throw some stuff in off the cuff. So it gives you that flexibility. But at least you know that 3, like a worst case scenario, if you go into hospital or you have a really crazy week, that no matter what happens, 3 posts are going up. I mean, it's funny, but that's life happens, right? Life happens. When I had my baby, stopped posting, wasn't prepared. So don't pitch, position. Stop trying to convince people. Say things that demonstrate your expertise. Share insights that show you understand. You have to remember these words. In my experience, Unless you tell people like, oh, through training 40,000 people on LinkedIn, this is what I've found. Unless you tell people where you've got the information from your experience, it's just going to be like anything they can get off Google. Why would they come to LinkedIn and not go to Google if you're just going to give them information off Google? You got to say, in my experience, this is what I've learned. This is what I've found. And this is what you do in your comments as well on other people's posts, right? You share your experience. Positioning, that's how you become an expert. And I tell you what, the only people that are going to be able to charge a premium for what they do are experts. That's going to be your competitive edge in this AI world. How many LinkedIn lives a month, Con? Oh my goodness. Do you know what? It's a really bad idea to do a LinkedIn live every week like I've been doing, but I do it anyway. It's harder to market, right? Because you can only send 1,000 invitations per week. So you've really got to be doing it through posts, comments, video. And I've got the system working pretty well. It's taken about a year for me to nail it, but a week's not necessarily a good idea. It's better to do it once a month. You'll get more people there because once you get enough people registered, the conversion rate when people view the event to actually register and goes up higher. Now, on events, because you've asked, Con, 65% of people that register on average don't show up. So the marketing doesn't stop once people register. You have to remind them. Weekly is cool because they know what day and time to show up, which is also a challenge because you can't please everyone. If your audience is local, it's great because you can make it a time when they're all online. But like 6 p.m. Monday nights, I know we've got a few people here from Melbourne tonight, but normally it's too late for the Melbourne guys. It's 9 p.m. and Melbourne and Sydney miss out, which sucks because I'm in Australia. Those are like the business hubs, but I've got to cater for the UK and all the rest of the country. So there's no real perfect time to do it. You also have to take into account when suits you because if you're going to be doing it every week, you got to stay consistent as well. Your DMs should feel like human conversation. Short, punchy, natural, like you'd speak at a cafe. Be confident enough to not get your spelling perfect. It's fine. Earn your right to ask for a call. Like a call's a great way to take a conversation offline because if the conversation's getting into like product territory or tell me a bit about what you do. Oh, let's hop on a call. Because you don't want to have conversations in chats, in DMs about business, right? About the DMs are there to socialize and set up calls. You don't want to be having conversations about the services that you offer, about the details, about how you work with clients. Like if you ever find yourself, this is a good tip for you all. If you ever find yourself writing a reply to somebody on LinkedIn and your reply is twice as long as what they've written, then that's a problem. If you're because you're going to be writing long messages, right? Longer than what they've sent you. For the guys that were talking about the dating apps before, oh, Jeff's got problems with the webinar. That's not good. Anyone else got problems? Let me know, guys. Nothing worse than tech problems when you're going live. So the dating advice, right? Don't write because you come across needy, okay? If you write longer than what they've written, even if you're answering a question, you want to keep it short, take the conversation offline, okay? The calls happen very easily when trust is built. So if you're doing the right thing with content, you can just say, hey, we should hop on a call. You don't even have to explain yourself. Okay. It calls worth so much more when you don't chase it. Like if it's an inbound opportunity, that's why I focus so hard on building trust and delivering value. Step 4 is engage. Build a community, not a following. Engage is the final step. And that's just engaging people, sending them DMs. It's not likes and comments. That's nurturing. Engagement is people sending you DMs, saying your content hit home. It's you reaching out to people that have engaged with your content. It's you reaching out to prospects. This is how I landed Apple as a client, HubSpot. It's how I got interviews with Grant Cardone, the late Kerwin Ray, rest his soul, Jack DeLosa, reaching out to them. DMs, right? Engaging them. People will tell others as well to message you, right? They'll introduce you. If they trust you, they will introduce their network to you because it adds value to their network. Engagement is not what LinkedIn measures. It's what your business will see return on investment from, okay? So if you want real engagement, you've got to tell stories. Like every story should educate. If you tell stories in public, it moves people down every single stage of the customer journey, right? Share vulnerable moments without losing authority. Be honest, be strategic. And when I say share vulnerable moments without losing authority, what am I talking about? Well, what I'm saying is don't trauma dump. Yeah. Share the moments that shaped your thinking. If you're an expert at something, if you're good at what you do, there was a time in your life when you weren't, right? Before you knew anything. Go back to that time. Think about how it felt to be there, the questions that were on your mind, and talk about what you learned and how things transformed. Don't just tell stories for the sake of it, right? Always have a message behind your stories. And if there isn't one, have a think about it. There probably is one in there somewhere. But you don't want to be sharing stories when you're in the middle of it. So when my daughter was born, she had developmental delays. And like, I was going to come back to work after 6 months. 6 months turned to a year. I think it was about a year we got the diagnosis that she actually has cerebral palsy, right? And so that really like was a big thing for us to go through. And I didn't share any of that with my audience, right? Like until she was like 2.5, like a year and a half later, you know, I shared like some of that and I was totally like comfortable with it. I got my head around it, but I'm not sharing vulnerable stuff when I'm in the middle of it, because how is that adding value to anyone? I'm dealing with it. I'm still dealing with it, right? I'm still working through it. So I want to make that clear, because there is a difference, right, between being vulnerable and just oversharing, like, you know, everything you're going through. Authorities demonstrated through results, right? I'm not saying that you always have to win. You don't. You can fail, but share what you learned. You're going to learn something if you fail, unless you're just going to, you know, keep yourself down in the dumps. If your content could have been written by AI, you're doing it wrong. Your voice, your quirks, your humor, your perspective, that's what's important. And you hear me saying that over and over again, guys. All right. Let's have a look in the comments here. Be authentic, write about your experience, not just give a load of guff. See, that wasn't written by AI. In my experience, great tip. Don't know why some of them come up as a LinkedIn user. Making spelling mistakes to sound, yeah, a lot of people are putting that in their prompts, guys, telling their AI to make spelling mistakes. How are we all feeling about the 60 plus minutes? Are we 60 minutes, are we? We missed you, Nathaniel. Yeah, I know you did, Con. I missed you too, my friend. Hey, family first, right? Let me tell you something most creators never admit. Success on LinkedIn, it's not about talent, right? It's not about being the smartest. It's not. Some of the smartest guys I know are rubbish at LinkedIn, right? It's not about being the most qualified or the loudest. It's about consistency. Consistency of character, right? People follow people who show up. People trust people who are real. People buy from people who lead through service of others. If you combine like strategy with actually caring, that's when you become unstoppable. All right, legends, we are an hour in. Take a sip of water because we are not stopping, okay? In a moment, we're stepping into one of the most important parts I'm going to cover right now. I don't care. I'll be here at least another half an hour. So, like, you know, you're going to have your dinner. If it's morning where you are, tell the office that you're going to be in late. If you're already in the office, tell them that the meeting's not going to happen. The 7 mistakes people make, and this is like brutal and honest, right? This is where the punchlines hit. So where you call out the things that everyone is doing wrong, right? But in a way that lifts them up, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about the 7 mistakes, because like mistake number 1, I have to say, is posting like a robot. You know those posts, blank expression, corporate tone. You see them everywhere. They read like a press release written by a committee of like people in suits. And this is what most of the big companies are doing. So if you're a small company, this is the most important part, because this is your edge. I'm delighted to announce our strategic partnership with XXYZ company in the land. Just save it, guys, for your ASX announcements. If your post sounds like something that would be printed in a quarterly report, it belongs in the bin, or at least somewhere else. So you want to write like you speak. If you wouldn't say it at a pub, don't say it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn reward humanness. They don't care about perfection. The algorithm's not looking for perfection, right? So mistake number 2 is what I call thirsty marketing. Thirsty marketing. There's nothing more obvious than desperation in the DMs, right? There's nothing more obvious than desperation. You know, like if you write too many words, it comes across as desperate, right? And you're sending them more than one link. If you're sending them a website link, a phone number, and a Calendly link, it comes across as desperate. If you have like an email signature that is in, I don't know how people do that. I think they reply from their inbox and they've got like an email signature with like the website and the phone number. It's, you know, you give people one step, right? Your DM shouldn't read like a hostage negotiation. Hostage negotiation. Okay. So remember just to ask the questions, right? 90% questions, 10% statements, just one statement. No begging, no asking, no selling yourself. If somebody says, what are you selling? You have to say nothing. I'm not selling anything. In fact, I actually just wanted to find out a bit more about you to see, you know, if you have the problem that I solve and if I could add some value. You could be transparent as that. Don't pounce. Curiosity creates connection. You know, when I've said that to people, it's actually led to sales. I'm not selling you anything. How can I sell you something? I don't even know if you fit the criteria for our clients. Right? But, you know, I could ask you a few questions, and if you have the problem and I can help and I get you permission to share my solution, then maybe I'll start selling to you then. But I'm not going to tell you, I'm not selling you. How can I sell you anything? I don't know anything about you. I don't know what problems you have. Mistake number 3 is chasing virality, followers, likes, and all that rubbish, right? It's just a massive distraction. People posting for engagement instead of impact, like, it conflicts with the business objectives that you have, right? You're posting the same motivational rubbish that's been circulating since 2004. Virality is equivalent of drinking 3 Red Bulls. It gives you a buzz, then there's a crash because you don't actually have anything meaningful to back it up with. Actually say something that you stand for, that you believe in. Forget viral. Forget it. That will happen anyway. Focus on valuable. Teach something. Explain something. Challenge something. Call somebody out. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? That's why you need the content planner, so you can get these things on paper. Social media is not social anymore. Yes, what X taught me about PV sales, right? You can make that authentic. You can make that authentic. Love your show, your stuff. Hell yeah. Yeah. Connor, classic. I wish I knew who said that. Let me know your name, hey? I can't believe the value you've given in this year's Monday Night Live. Thank you, Storm. I appreciate you more than you realize. Curiosity creates connection. Be curious. Be curious. People say, oh, you know, I don't want to go into the DMs. I feel a bit salesy. Well, that's doesn't mean you don't slide into DMs. It's actually a problem with your mindset. It's nothing to do with sliding into the DMs because you think that you're salesy. Right? You are trying to, you means you are trying to convince somebody to buy your stuff. You're not. That's the wrong mindset. You want to go in and be curious about the other person and want to learn about them. And like if I can help them, think about your product or service like a cure for cancer, right? You have to find out all the people that have got cancer right now so you can help them and move on from the people that don't. And if you just say on your LinkedIn profile, I've got a cure for cancer, no one's going to believe you because you didn't build any trust. I've actually just come up with that on the spot. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to work that into my stories. Mistake number 4 is being a content zombie. This is the person who posts every day but doesn't say anything. This is what most people posting every day are doing. That's why they're struggling, right? They're churning out a content like it's a full-time job and a machine, but they don't have a voice, a story, or an opinion. They're doing what they've learned from other people. They're copying what they see other people do because it works. They don't have their personality, not their humor, not their flaws. These are the people that I ask them, why did you choose to target the legal industry in the US? And they say something like, because I think there's a lot of money in that. Something about them. It's about them, right? The reason is because I thought I would make a lot of money if I chose that industry. The reason that you choose a target market, and the reason that you help them with a certain thing and your reason that you do it in a certain location is it has to be because that's where you can add the most value. That's where the biggest problem exists that you can solve. That's the people that you can help the best. That's what it has to be about. And then your content, it's a mindset. It becomes about adding value because you actually give a shit. If you want people to give a fuck about your product and your service, try giving a fuck about them first. You'd be amazed how could you have the audacity to expect people to care about what you're selling if you don't care about them first? Care. Biggest marketing hack ever, right? Mistake number 5 is selling before serving. Great to connect. Here's my 47 slide brochure and pricing table. Mate, that DM should come with a trigger warning. Serve before you sell. Help people. You can't offer value. You can't send somebody an ebook or the 47 slide brochure if you don't know that's valuable to them. It may not be valuable to them. If you're selling lead generation and you know that their website is not ranking well and you can help them get more customers, you can't send them stuff because you don't know if they want more customers. You haven't even spoken to them yet. You've got to go with curiosity. Authority is always earned. It's not demanded. You're going to get yourself in arguments if you approach people like that. Mistake number 6 is overthinking everything. Perfectionism can get you killed. This is the person who spends 3 hours editing a post or on Canva that never hits publish. When I met with Grant Cardone, he was just like, dude, I just dump content onto YouTube. Like dump content, just dump. Doesn't look at it. Like these days he gets it edited, but he didn't always, right? He would just do a video and that's how he words it. Dump it, just dump it. And he finds out what works. He's never worried about perfecting anything. But he learned real quick, right? How to make content good. If you worry about if your content's good enough, I'll tell you what, it's better than it is sitting in your drafts folder. It's not helping anyone there, is it? You don't have to be the smartest. You have to show up though. Don't worry if it's smart enough. Will people judge me? That's another one. Who cares? If the content's rubbish, no one will see it. Should I rewrite it again? Should I get feedback from the other director? Mate, no one's thinking that deeply about your content. It's going to be gone in the newsfeed, then it's going to be gone. If it's great content, it will sit there a bit longer, but that means you've done well. So done beats perfect. Done beats perfect. Who else we got in the chat here? Oh, Radula. I don't think I pronounced that right. Thanks for being here. And you just covered the biggest mistakes most people make, selling, focus on viral posts, social media, lovely value. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hopping in the comments, guys. Keep the comments coming in, guys. Keep the comments coming in. Mistake number 7. What's mistake number 7? Making it all about them. This is the look at me crowd, their wins, their achievements, their new office, their new hire, their new award. Everything is me, me, me. Look, if they only knew about me, 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 they would do business with me. Mate, it's about your audience, not your ego. Ask yourself, what will they gain from this? Where's the value? Like, I'm not saying don't post that inspirational stuff, but do it to inspire. Do it to add value. The first thing I would do, like when I win the social media award, like I got my little award back there for best use of LinkedIn, I'm thinking about when I post about it, I'm thinking about, okay, so how can I add value to my audience through this post? It's not just like me, 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 look at me. It's about how I can add value through the post. I'm trying to remember what I said. Look, I think I can remember one. It's when I reached 20,000. Was it 20,000 or 50? So many thousand subscribers on YouTube, and I would never post about how many subscribers or followers I have. Like I'm celebrating, like I would never do that in the past. It wasn't until I learned the value of inspiring content that I actually started doing this. And I remember doing this post, and I was like, how am I gonna add value through this? Well, the reality is, like, if you've got 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, you are adding value. There's 20,000 people there that have said, this is valuable, I want to get more of this. And that's worth celebrating, right? And I put that message forward about, I'm so proud and grateful that you guys are getting value from this and I'm able to add value and deliver that value. But I'm inspiring people because I'm also teaching people how to add value, right? So it's valuable on a few levels. One, it's inspiring, but it's also educational. It's not just about me. I had a picture of myself holding up a whiteboard with 20,000 written on it and a glass of red wine. So it was personal. That posted really well. I think some people would have looked at it and gone, what a wanker, but that's okay. This is what I'm talking about. You're going to upset some people, whatever. You're not going to like some of the feedback. Doesn't matter. They're probably not in your target audience. They're probably not your people. Okay. Bonus mistake, because I just mentioned it, hiding your personality. People think they need to be professional on LinkedIn. They drain all the life out of their content, remove the jokes, trim the story. They edit out the moment where they say, oh, they actually made a mistake on the way to whatever. It's like when I go live, right? Like, you know, I spent a long time not mentioning mistakes. A lot of tech problems will happen. I spent a lot of time pretending they don't happen. Now I just like share them, right? It makes you human. If you're removing your mistakes and the flaws and the things that get wrong, then you're removing what makes you human. That's actually what makes us human is the quirks, the humor, those little moments. Like a lot of the jokes that I'm dropping in Monday Night Live, you'll notice they're not funny. But thank God I laugh at my own jokes, right? But what I'm saying when I'm saying deliver humor, it doesn't have to be funny, right? It's about authenticity. That's how you be authentic. You crack those bad jokes, right? It's okay. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that very well, but I hope that makes sense. Let's zoom out because we're getting quite granular. Why does all of this matter, right? You spend an hour on Monday Night Live learning strategy. Why care about content, trust, and psychology? Because business owners think that they have a lead generation problem. They think that they have a marketing problem. You don't have a marketing problem. You don't have a lead generation problem. What you've got is a visibility problem, right? You don't have a lead problem. You've got a connection problem. It's all about relationships. I don't care if you've got 10 connections or 100,000 followers. If you don't have a real relationship with those people, it does not make a difference. You've got to build real. There's loads of guys I know with 400,000 followers that can't pay their rent. Why? Because they don't have real relationships with these people. They're regurgitating viral videos that they got from Facebook on their LinkedIn or motivational quotes. Sure, people will enjoy reading them while they're getting their coffee, but no one's driving across state or no one's paying $2,000 for your thing. I'm sorry, guys. You don't have a sales problem. What you've got, if you've got a sales problem, you've got a trust problem. People don't buy because you're brilliant. They buy because they believe you, they feel understood. Belief is built through behavior. It's how you show up, how you speak. And it's not about speaking perfect. It's the opposite. It's about being yourself, how you make them feel. Authenticity is authority. I've had 4 or 5 public speaking coaches. I've been fired by 3 of them. Why? Because I don't follow what they tell me to do. What do they tell me to do? They tell me to learn my speech and say the same speech exactly in those words every single time. I've tried it. I get on stage and I try to remember what I wrote down or what was in the speech, and I'm in my head, and the speech is terrible. This is the way I do it. I get on stage and I connect with the audience, and I'm out of my head. I'm in the audience's head, right? I'm watching them and I'm all about like, are they getting it? Are they grasping this? I'm adding value. And I get to the end of the talk and the talk is done. And sometimes it's different than it was last time. Well, most of the time it's different, right? But these speaking coaches literally fired me. But here's what's interesting. None of these speaking coaches had as big an audience as me. They couldn't fill the room when they did events, right? So what does that tell you? Like, I'm not standing the right way. I'm saying and ah. I'm leaning like this sometimes. I'm not always using the right angles. And I've got better at this stuff, don't get me wrong. But these guys are awesome at it, but they can't fill the room. Why? Because they're not authentic, right? Even if they are authentic, even if they try to be authentic, they're generating authenticity for the sake of it. They're scripting it out and acting. They're acting out authenticity. The fact that I don't always know my words and I trip over my lines and I say bad jokes and say ums and ahs is the only reason people were there in the room. I'm not the smartest marketer. Well, I'm pretty smart, but I'm not the smartest marketer in the world. But I'm definitely one of the realists, right? when I get on stage, most people don't have the courage to go there without any notes and without rehearsing. I've been doing speaking since I was 17 and I still get nervous, but I always be authentic, Hey, thanks, Con. I appreciate it. Hey, everybody read Con's comment. That's the favorite thing. That's the best thing I've seen all day. Thanks, my friend. Bots for commenting. No, I mean, that goes without saying. You can get kicked off of LinkedIn for that as well. What type of content performs the best right now on LinkedIn? Well, it's the stuff that adds value. It's your authentic stuff. Look, for me, I like video. And does it get the most views at the moment? No, but builds a stronger relationship with people, right? People, what's that? People lean into what you're good at, I think is the right answer. I like articles. I like newsletters. Other creators, like I'm very close to Yasmin Alec, and he does different, like he finds different content works well for him. So it's about finding what works well for you, but stay consistent and make sure you're adding value and lean into your personal brand. Don't copy, don't follow exactly what somebody else is doing. Inject your own personality into it. I studied Yasmin Alec when I came back after being vacant from the platform when I had my daughter, when I stopped posting and stopped doing my live. And all of a sudden this guy's shot up to like 350,000 followers. He was speaking at an online event that I was speaking at as well. He was speaking about personal branding. I was speaking about LinkedIn. And they said, by the way, there's this other guy that's speaking about personal branding who also knows a lot about LinkedIn, just letting you know. Anyway, I listened to his talk. I was like, this guy gets it. Followed his content. He's getting like 2,000 comments a post. I was like, I can learn a lot from this guy. So when he launched his community, I signed up, right? Now, when you look at my posts, do they look like Yasmin's? They might look a little bit more like him now that I've learned from him, but no. I'm still doing things my own way. I've taken what I've learned from him and I've adapted it into my own style, right? And that's what I want you guys to do, okay? All right, before we wrap up, let me give you two things I promised, right? So for everyone asking how I manage my DMs, use Condo, right? I'm going to put this link back on the screen. Condo, bibby.consulting/Condo will get you 2 months for free. Shout out to Mitchell for donating that for you guys, like on Monday Night Live, 2 months for free. It'll help you handle your DMs. Like you can put tags, you can filter by who you haven't responded to, who hasn't responded to you. You can set up lists. It's just such a useful tool to make sure you don't miss any DMs. I actually created a video on YouTube about it. Search for Condo, Bibby, if you want to check that out. They've given me this link. It's 2 months free, no catch, right? So there it is on the screen. You can see it there. And if you want to get my LinkedIn content planner, go to bibbymediagroup.com/shop and click on planner. It's on there for a massive discount at the moment. Get ahead of your content strategy for 2026. If you want to check it out, go to bibbymediagroup.com/shop. Now, here's your action item. Oh, actually, I need to announce the winner, but I don't know if the winner is here. So Taylor, are you here tonight? Because you won last week's challenge and you're going to get a free coaching session. I'm going to have to DM you. I'm not sure if you're here watching, but Taylor had a very authentic post about Monday Night Live. By the way, guys, if you post about Monday Night Live, make sure you include a selfie or a photograph with you in it when you post. A lot of people did post last week about Monday Night Live and didn't add the media, the image or the video. They just did written. Make sure if you're going to post about the value that you got from Monday Night Live, you will win a free coaching session with me valued at $500 if yours is the best post for the week. I'm doing it every week. So you guys could do it this week. You might win a complimentary coaching session with me. You know, it's $500. It's worth a lot more than that to your business if you follow through, because execution is everything, right? So if you want the content planner, make sure that you go to the shop on bibbymediagroup.com, right? It's the same process that we use with all our clients. Monday Night Live, just so you know, it is and it always will be pure value, right? Like I'm telling you about these things because I know they'll add value to what you do. I can't, they can't just give away everything for free. There has to be some ecosystem, but I'm not selling you anything, right? You're hopefully getting enough value out of the time that I've spent with you tonight, right? So there's no pitches, there's no pressure. I'll tell you exactly how to do everything. There's a couple of support things that you can get if you want, but there's no funnel waiting for you on the other side, right? I do this because I genuinely want to help business owners win with strategy, especially the people that can't afford to do business with me, especially you guys. It's the people that can afford to do business with me that allow me to be able to help you guys. I want to help the struggling entrepreneur who's got no money, who's just starting out, because I've been there. I know what it's like. There's nobody, like, no one's doing an hour and a half long without pitching you something, right? And this is what Monday Night Live is every week, right? But if you are sitting there thinking, oh, Nat, you know, this is great, but I'd love to have a proper conversation about how I can do business with you, just DM me. Let's just have a conversation, right? I'm not going to try and sell everyone on this live, right? So if you want to check out things quietly, just go to bbmediagroup.com and check out what we do. That's us, you know. How long has it been? I did well. Under 90 minutes of strategy, psychology, frameworks. And I'm just speaking the truth. Like, if you showed up tonight, guys, I respect you. Next week is personal branding. Make sure you mate, I'm showing up. Here's the link. Bibby, I made it really easy. Customized link. Bibby.consulting/500. It's a 500 million. Did I just say personal brand? I've given away. I was supposed to create curiosity with the 500 million LinkedIn strategy. I'll tell you right now, and I'm not going to announce this anywhere else. It's about personal branding, guys. I'm going to share with you how to build a personal brand. It's the most important strategy next year. Like, it's the only way to differentiate yourself. So make sure you sign up for that and join me next week. I just threw it up like 10 minutes before I jumped on to make sure that you had a link to register. So make sure you go check that out. And make sure you post this week something authentic, include your face in it, right? If you showed up tonight, I respect you. Most people don't invest in themselves. Most people won't actually show up because this is free, right? Isn't that funny? Unless they pay for it, they don't value it. But you did. You showed up, and hopefully you implement like you paid $10,000 to be here. That's how you get growth. You did show up, so I respect you. And remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Just because you're in the stormy weather right now doesn't mean you're not heading for the sunshine. Proximity is power. Get in the right room, network with people in the comments. Authenticity is your greatest competitive advantage. Thank you for spending your Monday night or Monday morning or Monday afternoon with me. I really appreciate it, more than you know. And remember, knowledge without execution is useless. So go out there and execute, my friends. Until next week, stay legendary.